Welcome to LOCKBEARD Phenomena number 154, Big Muddy Monster. It is Friday, June 21st, 2024, about 3 p.m. Central Time. What's up? Mr. Lee's here. What's up? Arg, says Chewbacca. Jojo says, I'm modding a UK channel, are you? Welcome to the chat, Jojo. I since he started over 3 years. What happened to the Red Creek Mafia dude? Did something happen to him? Nasty emails. That's the internet. There's always going to be someone who's going to talk crap on you, you know. Just got to let it roll off. He could, or he could respond to him saying, yeah, your opinion is insignificant. You know, I don't care what you think. I will continue to do what I want to, or think what I want to think. And, you know, now either they'll keep emailing you, maybe just block the email address if you don't want to deal, you don't want to listen to their nonsense, but or read their nonsense. But I think some kind of response informing them that their opinion is insignificant to you and they're really wasting their time. Because sometimes these people write, you know, a freaking novel talking about how much they hate you. And you say, well, you know, I read, you know, a little bit of the first part, and then when I saw that it was just nothing but you attacking me, and I don't care what you think, really. I didn't read the rest. You wasted your time writing it. And maybe that person just kind of wanders off, as they should. You know, if you write emails to people, you can comment under the video or something, but send emails. Crazy. Jojo says hopefully he will be back, but gone off of Facebook too. Mr. Lee says I wouldn't mind going to this festival. It looks good. Ladies covered in mud. Sounds great. I don't know which festival you're talking about, Mr. Lee. I can't go to the festival. I'm really not interested in going to most festivals. There was a guy that came into my workplace, and I really should have got his name and more information from him, but I didn't. But he said he was putting together his own kind of festival somewhere in this area, southeast Oklahoma. And he said he had like 40 vendors lined up. So, I mean, it sounds like he's about serious about putting together an event of some kind. But that was the weekend before last, I think, was when it was supposed to have occurred. So, you know, try to figure out what's up with that. Maybe check it out the next time. I don't like the idea of going to festivals because we've had some people in the YouTube space who have made it pretty clear that they want to become violent towards people that they disagree with, you know, like me and others. So what if these people show up, and are we gonna like not have such a good time because this complete pansy ass moron who can't handle criticism or can't handle when people disagree with him shows up thinking, well, we're just gonna get violent then? Well, yeah, I guess you could, and you could land your ass in jail, especially some of these folks who already have a record. They're probably, you know, on some kind of probation. I mean, it'd be really stupid to do, but that's the reason why they've gotten in so much trouble in the past before anyway, is because they're goddamn stupid. You know, yeah, or at least they've done some stupid things. So, you know, I'm not interested in having any violent encounters with anybody. That's stupid, as I just said. And um, it's not going to change what I think. It's not going to change what they think. I mean, what it was it, what's his plan? He's going to hit me and I'm going to agree with him all of a sudden? No, I'm going to dislike him in every opinion he's ever had, even more. So, so I don't know. And plus, you know, festivals are usually crawling with a bunch of people that they're batshit crazy. Some of them are just batshit crazy. And I've seen enough batshit crazy. It's, yeah, I don't know. Sandra's here. Welcome. JoJo's here. Welcome. Chewbacca's giving us another ARG. There's Kiz. The UK highly represented at this early hour. Early for those of us in the United States, not kind of late, still a little bit on the late side for UK, right? Because it's like 9 p.m. over there. Yeah. Watching the footy. So rubbish. Rubbish is used for something. Must be talking sports, some kind of sport. Dollar on Germany to win. What's up, yo, kids? Jojo says, Lucky, I've missed you lots. Just saying. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's just summertime is not very conducive to me live streaming. So, you know, even now, you know, I'm inside a place with good Wi-Fi. It's pretty cool in here. The air conditioning is really cold, but the computer is still not happy. I can hear the fan running in there. It's you know, like it run live streamings. You know, it runs hard when it's live streaming. You know, I don't think this, you know, MacBook Air was ever really meant to do all this live streaming. So I'm probably putting it through its paces. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard got it at 10. Yeah, I've been out in the sun. Some days I go down, there's a little creek down here I go down to, and just to get in the water and stay cool, you know, in the middle of the day. I wouldn't say there'd be any squatches there. It's too populated right there in that area. Too many people's houses nearby and stuff. Although nobody right there on the creek or anything, but still. Your response to negative comments are hilarious, though. Yeah. Bobby, welcome, Bobby. By getting our highs and hellos in. OGG is modding for Andy, but says hi. Awesome. Say hi to OGG. As you saw in the thumbnail, this the Big Muddy Monster Festival is going on, I guess, starting today, going on this weekend. But saw this article, which is too far away for me to go to. Like I said, I'd love to, I'd love to be able to travel around to these places and check out places where these sightings have been, and see if my eye can see something that other people's eye does not. The thing is you deal with something enough, you look at something enough in particular, you start to notice things that most people won't notice. And if you, seriously, most of the people looking at this simply don't have enough scientific background. Even if they do got like a biology degree or something like that, they still don't have enough. They still don't got enough, and they're not thinking in the right terms. And they're going in with too much misconceptions about things, and their mind isn't open where it needs to be, and it's closed where it shouldn't be. So I really can't trust any assessment of anybody, really. I really can't, because what I really need is my eyes on these places. I need to go down to these locations and examine that ecosystem there, the specific locations where people have had sightings that seem credible. And to see what my eye catches. After a while, I might see some certain things or notice certain things that are important. And I can't really say for sure exactly what that might be. It might be that there is, certain geology involved. It might be a certain species or certain set of species of trees that really need to be, because some people have talked about that a little bit, about the ecosystem potentially that a Bigfoot would stay in or want to be in. What kind of species does it need? Obviously, it probably needs a forested area. It needs trees. Because it's probably it's probably the only cover that would really work. Grassland would be kind of hard. I think it could hide in a proper grassland. People don't understand what a real grassland looks like, though. They're used to seeing like an overgrown lot, and they think, oh, that's what the grasslands look like in the natural condition. No, it was much taller. We've destroyed the grasslands here, and there's very little left that is anything like what it used to be. People don't understand the huge root systems that were beneath the ground, and they were destroyed, tilled under. They mowed down the grass. They just completely destroyed most of this ecosystem. But before, where the grass was it was just, I don't know what the maximum height would have been, but 12 feet would not be unreasonable in some cases. I'm back. I don't know what happened there. But anyway, so I think Bigfoots could have lived just fine on a grassland. But it may not be the most ideal place for them. And of course, some people reject the idea of Bigfoot existing on the Great Plains at all. That's wrong. It's just wrong. Those people need to come out here and see what's really here. They think that if they think Oklahoma is just a flat grassland out here, it's not. We have lots of forested area. We have our mountains. Our mountains aren't as big as the Rockies or anything, but we do have our mountains and hilly terrain. There's rivers crisscrossing everything, crossing the entire Great Plains region, in fact. And along those rivers are trees. What they call the Great Plains isn't just one big sea of grass. It just isn't. There's plenty of trees, especially along all the rivers that cut across, mostly west to east or northwest to southeast, draining towards the Mississippi River. And most of those rivers would serve just fine, along with the associated forests along those rivers. Would serve just fine as a corridor for Bigfoot to travel up and down that river system. If it couldn't find food directly in the water, it could find food that's coming to the water to drink, because a lot of the prey animals are going to come to that river to drink. So, so that's why, and I've been up and down a lot of these rivers. Spent so much time in my life, going up and down the creeks and the rivers, because, I was either fishing or I was looking for snakes or something. And I can tell you, like, the areas along the rivers are oftentimes avoided by people, because it's not like it's a flat, easy walk through. There's not a trail. You're going to get snagged on thorns. You're going to encounter ticks and other types of bugs. And a lot of people are just too scared of snakes to even go into some of these areas. And now, for an animal, it's not such a big deal to cross through some of that. But for people who are used to, walking, if they go into the woods at all, they're on a cleared trail. They don't know what it's like to push through brush. It's just not a place people are going to go. Just like any campground, you go to any campground, anything like that. There's the places where people frequent, and in most of the area, nobody's really touching. They'll drive up to where they can drive up. They'll get out. They'll go to the picnic table, and 20 feet away, just past the tree line, they're not going there. Most people are just not going there, because they got to hop over this log and push through this little bit of brush, and they're just not going to do it. People are too freaking lazy. They don't want to explore. And even if they got to the other side, they'd look around, just see more trees, and they don't care. Like, it's not something they care about. They're not interested by those trees or anything else that's back in there. They're more interested in sitting at the picnic table, taking it easy, eating a hot dog or something. So, when people were saying, well, there couldn't be any here because there's too many people. Yeah, there can be a ton of people there, but none of them are looking 20 feet away from them and past the tree line to see what's there. They're not interested. They're not very observant. Half the time they're looking down at their phones. There could be a ton of Sasquatch right there looking at them, and they would never know it. But Mr. Lee says where Brent lives is an ideal location for Sasquatch. It would seem. It's too bad they cut down a lot of the giant trees over there. The redwoods, the sequoias. They really annihilated a lot of that forest, a massive, huge forest over there. Everybody's seen the picture with the tree with a hole cut through the middle of it where you could drive a vehicle through the tree. big trees. Not as big as the claimed tree stump. Remember, we did the Devil's Tower. I think that was LOCKBEARD Phenomenon number 2 or something like that, where you got people who actually believe that Devil's Tower is a real tree trunk. Nuts. But then you're getting into those flat earther types, right? And I would ask them, those are volcanic formations, and they're flat. A lot of them are they're real flat on top. Why? Well, where's the gigantic chainsaw to cut down these? It's just they don't think they're BS through. It's like, why is it flat on top instead of, if it was chopped down by an ancient axe, okay, well, it wouldn't be flat on top, right? Freaking flat earthers, man. They bend over backwards. There was somewhat of a debate on the quartering. The quartering kind of hosted this debate between a flat earther and Professor Dave. Everybody's, I think, seen Professor Dave on YouTube, and damn, flat earthers are either just stupid or they really are all trolls. I mean, it's insane. Now, Professor Dave isn't the best person to deal with all that, and really nobody's really conducting a debate in enough of an organized fashion. You got to make sure, because what happens a lot of times is as you start out asking this question here, and the flat earther responds, but they jump over to this other subject over a channel, and you got to have a moderator who grabs them and says, wait a minute, this was the question and you didn't address it. You jumped over to a completely different matter. You got to address the issue. And then, of course, really what I want to see is them to pull up actual, the sources, the evidence, pull it up on the screen and properly analyze it. God, flat earthers are stupid. I can't even be nice about that. They're freaking morons. Jojo says, I like watching Brent where he goes out and about. It was abducted. Mr. Lee says lots of creeks in Oklahoma and mountains. I Google Earth it. Yeah. I mean, all this where I'm at here is kind of foothills, really, and it's all forest, except where some areas where people have cleared off for some pasture and stuff. It's all forest here. Jojo says, I listened to someone explain why they think the earth is flat, and I don't get it still. Well, they don't understand. There's things like these are people who are geometrically retarded. Like, I don't think they understand geometry. Like, they say stuff like, and they all been given the same playbook, right? They'll say stuff like, why does the horizon always rise to meet your eye? Well, okay, let's start with the word rise. Rise implies something's moving. I don't see the horizon moving. When I look towards the horizon, it is where it is, and that's where it's staying. But what they're trying to say really is that the horizon is even with your eye. Well, if the earth is flat, I know, of course, there's hills and everything else, but we'd have to smooth out this whole area to truly fairly address this matter. But let's assume we're in a flat area, and a flat earther says, flat for globe standards, right? And the flat earther says, look, the horizon rises to meet my eyes. Like, yeah. So that horizon is where the surface of the dirt is, and the surface of the dirt here is underneath your feet. So that means the horizon is higher than the surface of the earth at the horizon is higher than it is here. And this place is shaped like a bowl. According, if they really wanted to follow their logic. What they don't understand is that the earth is so large. They say it's a ball and it's smooth as glass. It's just completely smooth ball, but it's the size of the earth, and you're standing on the surface and you look towards the horizon. Now, the horizon is an equal distance from you no matter what direction you look. So you're not going to see a curve. Now, technically, you are seeing the curve, but imagine you have a hula hoop around your head at the level of your eyes. And if you look at that hula hoop, it looks perfectly flat all the way around you because you're looking at it on edge, but in the center, you're looking at it on edge. Just as if you took a coin and looked at a coin on edge, it looks like a flat line, right? As it should while standing on a globe. The horizon should look flat. Of course it's going to look flat. If the horizon curved down, what's it going to do? It's going to curve around and come back down under my feet or something. Do they understand how ridiculous that is to say that they should be able to see the curve of the horizon from the surface? They don't make any sense. The horizon's over there. The horizon's over there. The horizon, it's all around you. It's one big circle that surrounds you. You're standing in the center of that circle, and the horizon should look precisely flat from your position. You're not high enough above the earth, away from the earth, to see a curve. So it's just ridiculous. And then, of course, they're saying, why is the horizon? What I was trying to address was rises to meet the eye. Well, it doesn't. They don't understand that the earth is so huge that it's such a tiny angle between level with, we'll just call your eyes. That's wrong, but anyway, because what you really are talking about is your feet. But the distance between your feet and your eyes is insignificant when compared to the scale of the earth. So it'd still be the same. So when you're looking at the horizon isn't level with you. It's a little bit lower. But that angle, right? There's a slight angle there, very, very small angle. That angle is so small because the earth is so freaking huge and you're so tiny on that scale. That angle is so small that it's not discernible. The difference is not discernible by the human eye. It's not possible. Like, you can't tell the difference between level and slightly not level, below your eye level. You can't tell the difference between that angle. The human perception cannot tell the difference. It's so close. It's such a tiny, tiny, tiny angle. Don't matter. They still don't accept it because they are geometrically retarded. And I know some people are offended by that word, and everybody's offended by everything anymore. And that's why I don't give a fuck. Be offended. Be offended. Seriously, sick of everybody being offended. Who was it that said, about jokes, about comedy? Either it's all okay or none of it's okay. If you can say, well, this person can't tell that kind of joke, and now, well, that person can't tell that kind of joke, and this person can't tell that kind of joke, and flat earthers are a joke, and massive trees, yeah. Don't get the whole flat earth thing. It's mass psychosis of some kind. I think there's a lot of people that are just trolling though, but there's enough people out there that are so stupid that they think they really think they're they really think they're throwing some scientific facts at you, and they're not throwing anything. Professor Dave is cool, says Mr. Lee. Mr. Lee knows Professor Dave. Mr. Lee says, what has Ken Wheeler said about the possibility of flat Earth? Well, I don't catch a lot of Ken's live streams lately, but I've caught so many, I've lost count over the years. Ken has done about 3 live streams a week for years, but he deletes all of them. He tends to talk a little more freely about certain things in the live stream because he knows he's going to delete them. So, and I really wish he hadn't done that. I really, because he's got thousands of hours of live streaming time that's all just been deleted. It's gone. So, but yeah, the flat earthers show up in the live stream and start, because they think stuff like when Ken's talking about the plane of inertia in a field, these flatters, oh yeah, it's a plane. It's a plane. Well, doesn't. They actually believe that some of the things that Ken Wheeler's talking about proves their flat Earth theory, which is absolutely ridiculous. They clearly don't understand what the hell Ken's talking about, and they're just trying to twist things to mean what they want it to mean. Confirmation bias. We all know confirmation bias, right? Because a lot of people in the Bigfoot community, they'll try to read into things and make it interpret things that to mean what they want them to mean, because they want there to be a certain idea. They want a certain idea about Sasquatch to be the fact or to be true. So they'll interpret things or they'll read into things in the way that supports their fantasy rather than what the truth is. Now, Bigfoot is mind speaking, portal hopping, cloaking, orb farting aliens or something. Well, that'd be cool. But all that has a really big plausibility issue and zero evidence issue. And a lot of the people making these claims are batshit crazy. If you just listen to them for a little bit, you're like, yeah, this person's freaking nuts. So you want to be careful before you start telling crazy ass stories about orbs and mind speak and portals and all this stuff. You might want to think real long and hard about, because the evaluation of all those sensible people is pretty much as you are nuts. We haven't observed portals existing in nature in any way, have we? Not really. Orbs might be something that's just explained. You might be talking about this Earth light phenomena, ball lightning kind of things. But they don't want it to be an electromagnetic phenomena. They want it to be some kind of magical shit. And they're not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy with a mundane thing. And, so you just can't, you can't reason with such folks. Do you want the truth, or do you want your fantasy fulfilled? If you want a fantasy, just go to the fantasy section at the library and read some fantasy novels and stop trying to turn real life into fantasy. You're wasting your time. You're making yourself look like a fool. As Thomas Steenberg says, stick to the facts, right? Nothing but the facts. But yes, Mr. Lee, anytime someone's brought up flat Earth in Ken's chat, Ken has said that's stupid, that's ridiculous, that's not true. Yeah, or he pokes a little bit of fun at him. He does poke a little bit of fun at him. Um, Personally, I think that because his chat's so loaded with people and it moves so fast, you can hardly keep up with it. And whenever a flat earther shows up, and keep if they keep on, really, I think they should probably be banned from chat because they flood the chat with their bullshit and they just never stop. They keep coming and coming and coming. I don't know where these people come from. I'll tell them. So look, I've told them in the past. So I'll in the chat. I'll tell them this is not a flat Earth chat. This is not a flat Earth live stream. Ken has stated many times the Earth is not flat. None of the science that he's trying to explain to you here proves that the Earth is flat. It proves the opposite. And you guys are just complete. You guys got to be complete imbeciles to be here. Even if you somehow made the mistake thinking that some of this stuff sounded like it might support flat Earth, I have informed you now. So why you keep on? Why are you still in the chat? This is not a flat Earth chat. Get the fuck out. But they just keep coming, and it proves it's a cult. It's a cult religion. These people latched onto a cult belief system, and you can't reason with them. You can tell them, hey, we don't want you here, and they'll still stay there. Because they hear stuff like the plane of inertia. It's just funny how they latched onto the plane of inertia, as if that was the only part of the magnetic field that existed somehow or matters. And they just completely misunderstood the whole thing because they just selectively hear the part that they want to hear. And now you got these crazy people. Love the way you say it as you think, no pussyfoot about it. Yeah. There's no logic to flat Earth. Zero. I mean, and you can turn them down all day long, and they just don't hear it. They're brainwashed, or they're just trolls. One of those two. I mean, I'm sure there's some of both. Some of those flat earthers are straight up trolls, and some of them are just really fucking stupid. They bought into some crap. They got brainwashed. Coming on Andy's to talk about it. Oh my gosh. Bigfoot Anon is a flat earther. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Look, I mean, if you needed to hear anything about him that proved that he was a complete idiot, I mean, if watching him talk just in general didn't prove, I'm sorry, dude's nut. He's a nut. And he buys into all that woo crap about Bigfoot. He was, and where's Raptor to call him out? The fact is Bigfoot and all probably showed up to cash in, and that's it. I haven't seen him in a while. What happened to him? He figured out he couldn't make as much bank as he thought off his little booklets that he says he authored. Yeah. Just can't understand how it could be flat. Can't get my head around it. Well, it's probably because you're not geometrically retarded like a flat earther. You understand, that this is a pretty basic stuff that we've known for centuries, and going back to Aristophanes and before, and probably the previous civilization. Well, not probably. I guarantee you, the previous civilization knew very well that the Earth wasn't flat. If they built that moon, they knew the Earth wasn't flat, right? They knew. Mr. Lee says Ricky Gervais explains it well. Sexy Ken, he did looked good on his farm photograph the other day, though. How's it play it? Yeah, I wish I could complete it, but there's some. It's hard. It's hard to make it because YouTube. It's hard because YouTube's stupid the way it works. It doesn't. Because he's got and because Ken's got so many videos to sort through, because you got to sort through all the photography videos, and I'm kind of where I've gotten to is kind of in the middle of Ken's stuff over the years. Well, you got to scroll, and then the computer. By the time you get there and you get a few more videos added onto the playlist, the computer decides it has to update now, and it just, whatever. So I don't know if I'll ever finish it or get it caught up and manage to keep it up, but at least the first few years are on there, and that can get people going. Lisa Rono and Cope, don't mind if I do. No, and Ruthless and Ken's Life. Yeah, they're over there. They're over there. Yeah, he didn't come around here very much anymore. TikToking. Yeah, let him stay over there TikToking along with that other hoaxer. What's his name? I forget. The one that Nikki had on her live stream. Got the real hoaxer to go on, and then he's back to claiming he's the real deal again. Miss Lisa Sandra, yes, he is still around, but unfortunately he doesn't come to Lockbeard's chat no more. Robert Morse here. Welcome. Says hello to all. Thumbs up, everyone. Remember to share. Thank you. Sandra says Bigfoot Anon called me slight and narrow-minded because I don't believe flat Earth. Go figure. Yeah. Well, coming from who it's coming from, I wouldn't put much value in Bigfoot Anon's opinion. The fact is, if he believes the Earth is flat, he is a complete idiot. And if he's not a complete idiot, he's a liar. He's a troll and a liar. So he can pick whichever one of those he wants to admit to. But these flat earthers, they get onto some flat Earth website or YouTube channel or something, and they get filled up with all this crap. And they should have put all that effort into, I don't know, actually taking some science courses at a college level if they didn't get it in high school. I'm not saying everybody needs to go to college. Well, I kind of think everybody should, at least, to see a little bit of what it's about, what's going on there. Learn some things beyond the high school level, because the high schools fail miserably in certain regards. They just do. Evolutionary biology being one of the areas that is a pet peeve of mine, where people come out of high school and they barely learned a thing about evolutionary biology. They learned just enough to not be able to ask. They learn just enough to get the wrong idea. So people will ask me, grown adults will ask me, well, if man evolved from apes, why aren't men evolving now and walking out of the jungle? Yeah, that person completely didn't get it. They didn't understand evolutionary biology at all. They need to go back to the drawing board and start over. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. And of course, some people will never accept evolutionary biology no matter what you do, because for religious reasons. Because they believe that somehow it conflicts with their religion. It does not. It does not. In fact, it's kind of a blasphemy for them to claim that evolutionary biology is not real, because why? You believe that God created everything. we've been able to prove, utilizing scientific method and the human mind, that evolutionary biology is a real thing, a real process that is occurring. Since God created everything and evolutionary biology does in fact exist, that's a proven fact. That means God created evolutionary biology. So now you got these Christians who are denying that God is capable of creating evolutionary processes. That sounds like blasphemy to me. You're denying God's creation. You are denying God's creation. Because they latched onto the 7 days and the 6,000 years. It doesn't say anywhere in the Bible that the earth is 6,000 years, by the way. It doesn't say that anywhere. Find me the verse. Find me the verse. Now, it does have the 7-day story, but then they'll want to take that literally, but then they'll come to some other partner like, well, no, that's not meant to be taken literally. They want to pick and choose. They want to cherry pick which parts are literal, the parts that they want to be literal, right? And the ones that they want to say are just allegory or something. For example, all the female preachers out there probably want to skip over the verse that says very specifically, it says very specifically, women are not to speak in church. I forget what verse it is, but I love it because it's funny. It says women are not allowed to speak in church, and if they have a question about anything, they need to wait and ask their husband at home. So again, maybe people shouldn't be so hard pressed to say, "Oh, you got to take it literal. 7 days." Okay, it's literal 7 days, and why are all you women talking in church? You're not supposed to talk in church. It says right there, "Don't talk in church." If the 7 days is literal, that's literal, right? You definitely none of those. Yeah, Mr. Lee says you're definitely none of those. He couldn't make you believe more. Like, yeah. If you won't believe in a brainwashing, well, I mean, I was raised Baptist, Mr. Lee, and read the Bible quite a bit when I was young. And then when I got into college, I did take a course on the Gospels specifically, where we analyzed Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. We discussed the fact that there were other Gospels that the church didn't like, so they didn't put them in what we call the Bible today. So the Bible isn't all the religious writings that existed. A lot of them were kept out because they were talking about things that the church didn't like. There were certain differences in the story, because Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are each the same story basically about Jesus, and they but they have some slight differences. And so that's one of the things we talked about, is like these different stories. So when these people say they want you to, it's the word of God, okay, well, which one of those four, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, is the correct version of the story? Because the accounts vary, the stories vary on different points, and they're not exactly the same story. So why would you have four different versions of the same story if this is the word of God? The word of God should be one truth, nothing but. No, these are the words of men. These are the words of men. So there's all kinds of contradictions and stuff, and they really need to chill out about demanding that people take stuff literally out of the Bible, and we need to follow this rule exact, and just being really hard pressed about stuff, and creating contention where there needs not be any. Believe what you want, but don't be trying to force people to believe in 7 days, and and don't tell your kids, oh, you can't you can't believe in science because the science doesn't say the world's 7 days. You're doing your kid a disservice. You're probably destroying a brilliant career in science when you do that. Religious people, by the way. It was certainly a hurdle that I could jump through, but as a kid with a lot of scientific aptitude, it was really hard to keep me from questioning certain things, and I tried. I had to go through a certain process of, how do I reconcile my religious belief with the science? Because certain religious traditions are making claims about things that the science clearly shows is incorrect, and there's really no evidence to prove the religious point of view. So you have to find ways to reinterpret and think of it differently, and to try and survive that gauntlet. Now, eventually, I just cast off the religious belief, because it doesn't survive logical, objective scrutiny at all. And and basically free myself to explore science without chains, because that's what a lot of these religions do. They chain you and prevent you from considering the real facts in the world right in front of you. And so you gotta you gotta set that aside and make it this is my belief, and then I operate in the realm of science according to the rules of science. Because if you don't do that, then you end up with crazy cult stuff like, well, like right now we got this DEI cult, diversity, equity, and inclusion cult, to where they're violating the law by discriminating against people based on race and gender, because that race and gender is white and male, and sexual orientation straight. Now, we've all known for a long time that that's wrong. You're not supposed to discriminate against people based on their race or their gender or their sexual orientation or their religion or any of that stuff. And yet, today, in 2024, we have this cult religion that is demanding that people violate this rule, to the point where we've seen probably in the news where James O'Keefe has exposed yet another person that works for Disney, who's explaining how they don't hire white people, they don't hire men. They're not hiring basically straight white men, and they discriminate against them based solely on that, not who's best for the job, but who's black enough. He even talked about how one guy was half black, but because he didn't look black enough, he was passed up. And that's what you get. That's what you get right there, where you can't do the job effectively or legally, even because you're adhering to a cult belief system that doesn't make any sense in the system that you're trying to function in. They can believe that DEI stuff at home all day long, but when they come to work, they have to operate within a certain set of rules. You're supposed to make money. You're supposed to do the best job you can. And you're supposed to follow the law. So you hire the best person for the job. Disney was not, and has not, and still is not. You get the best person for the job. You produce a product that your customer wants, and you don't discriminate against people in your hiring process. And they were doing all this stuff to follow the rules of their DEI religion. No, you can't do that. You can't do that in business. They violated that. Disney has violated its fiduciary duty to all its shareholders as a result. Every shareholder in Disney should be suing them over this, because they've left billions of dollars on the table in profit because they're doing this DEI nonsense. So keep your religion at home and in your church. Don't take it to work. Don't take it into the science classroom. Don't take it into the scientific lab. That's not where it belongs. It belongs within you, within your church, within your own home. So, everybody's free to believe what they want, but when you start allowing it to destroy, the education of our children, the progress of science, the ability to do business, it starts tearing things apart. And now we have a situation where, these criminal invaders are coming across the border and raping little girls. We just had a 12-year-old girl. She was two criminal illegal immigrants grabbed this 12-year-old girl and raped her and killed her. And the current administration is responsible for that. They let these people in here. Donald Trump tried to warn everybody of the rapists being brought into the country, but people were like, "Oh, he's calling them all rapists." No, he wasn't calling them all rapists, but no, he did. He may not have said it specifically enough in the right words for people to understand. But anyone with any sense knew that's not what he meant. He wasn't meaning everyone coming across the border is racist, but a lot of rapists. But a lot of rapists are coming across the border, and they're raping little girls and killing them. Our daughters, our sisters, our wives. At some point, we're going to have to do something about this, right? As a nation. The federal government isn't doing anything about it right now. And I know that that's what they want. These people that are running the show, they want there to be chaos and war here. They want it to be. But I just advise that once you finish a job, if you got an invasive force in your nation, you got to completely 100% push it out. Every last man, woman, child. I'm sorry, you can't reward some few to remain with life in your nation after they violated your laws and brought all kinds of criminals alongside them. Can you even imagine what kind of monsters? Well, you see where Joy Reid was talking to whoever that was in Congress or whatever, and they were laughing about the little girl that got raped. I think it was a different one, because there's been so many at this point of little girls have been raped by criminal invader, illegal immigrants. They were laughing about it. Joy Reid, the Joy Reid, the black news anchor type woman who doesn't really do real news. She does fake news, and she wears a Trump wig. Although I don't think she's wearing that Trump wig anymore, but she wears a Trump wig. Now, that probably pisses her off if you tell her. She wears a blonde wig. I call it the Trump wig because I want her to hear that. I want to put that out there as much as possible, and I want her to hear it, and I want her to get pissed off about it because screw her, she's a freaking psycho. And especially laughing about a little girl getting raped by illegal immigrants. They were laughing about like that cow because it was being reported, and they're like, "Oh, it's being reported." Well, yeah, it's being reported because it's a real issue. It's something that's happening, and all the European nations, you all are seeing this too, with the immigrants coming in that care nothing about you or your people, and they're raping your daughters, your sisters, your wives. The rates of rape have gone up in all of our nations because of this immigration nonsense that's been forced on us, because they give them benefits for coming over. Sorry, we need to stay on. We need to stay on the paranormal for this one, right? Let me check on the chat. Glad I don't go to church then. But yeah, Mr. Lee, I studied the Bible extensively. It's funny, a lot of the stuff that maybe I didn't explore that as far as you want me to. I don't know. None of these people have read anything in the original language. I don't know the original languages, but I have looked into some of this stuff and what it actually meant in the original language. Like the serpent in the Garden of Eden didn't actually mean a snake. The translation actually comes across as something beautiful. So now the story makes a lot more sense. Something beautiful appeared before Eve and convinced her to violate the law of her God. That makes more sense than a snake showed up and said, "Eat the fruit. Eat the fruit, you rib bitch. Eat the fruit, rib bitch." Ocean Ponds here, welcome. Judges, the closest thing I got to reading the Bible was at Sunday school. Yeah. I dare say, as an atheist, I've studied the Bible a lot more closely than 99% of Christians, including a lot of preachers. A lot of preachers just read, Sunday they read the appropriate verses for Easter Sunday. Christmas, they read the appropriate verses for Christmas, and so on and so forth. And they basically just give a book report out of the Bible, but only under certain sections, and just they might just talk about 10 verses during a sermon. And they'll read the verse and then they'll elaborate on what it can mean, maybe tell some stupid story, how it applies to today or something like that. It's all BS. I mean, anyone that watches Joel Osteen, right? That shit-eating grin on his face as he's smiling. He's like, I can't believe these people believe in this bullshit. He rakes in a lot of money to then not open his church up to refugees from a hurricane. Remember that? Yeah. Take care of the poor? No. Take care of the people that have endured a disaster? No. Maybe if they were white, maybe he would have let them in the church if they were white. Just throwing it out there. Maybe he didn't want to let a bunch of black people in his church. You think? Robert says, I have ran into that mindset many times. When you say otherwise, they say you're satanic, anti-Christian. Yeah. You can be anti-Christian and not satanic. You just, or anti-religion or something like that. But that kind of talk scares people, right? Because there are a lot of atheists that are straight up crazy cult members themselves. They really are. They're frothing at the mouth nuts, some of these atheists. And yeah. But I think most people that are atheists or agnostically minded people are just cool, calm, collected people, But when we see people chanting crazy stuff and when we see organized religion getting too belligerent, which some Christians are, claiming stuff is satanic when it isn't satanic. It's just people don't agree with your religion and you're mad about that. Chanting "This is a Christian nation" when it is in fact the law of the land that this is not a Christian nation. It is a nation with a lot of Christians in it who have freedom of religion, but that freedom of religion goes to everybody, Christians or non-Christians alike. But a lot of Christians, they just forget all about that, and they want to chant, "This is a Christian nation." And they want it to be a theocratic nation. They want us to be under Christian rule. Well, that's anti-American. They try to act like they're the patriots, but yet they want to turn this into a theocracy. That's not American at all. And it's dangerous and it's scary to people like me, who we know what the history of where that goes sometimes. Sometimes that goes to an inquisition, torturing and murdering heretics. Sometimes that goes to a holy war, murdering people of another religion just because they're the wrong religion and they won't convert. Witch trials, where people are just accusing people of being witches and they're not witches, but they're getting accused and everybody is foaming at the mouth to burn the witch or drown her or press her to death or whatever the seriously sadistic method they can come up with. Christians did all that. And they could easily do it again. And because a minority of them are that sick and the majority are not brave enough to stand up to that minority and say, look, this isn't what we're supposed to do, because you might get accused of being a witch next. This stuff needs to be talked about because it could get out of hand. It could get out of hand. So we got to be careful. Sandra says, I have a Bible and I read it. Jojo says, if I had one written like we write today, I may read it. I have tried. Oh, you mean you want it like translated to more modern English? A lot of the problem with taking things literally in it is that the translation from the old religion, from the old languages, is not perfect. The meaning of certain words, like the snake again. Well, it said something beautiful. It didn't say a serpent as in a snake, but that's what they got in this modern translation. It's wrong. It's a pretty significant fact to have wrong from the original language. So I strongly suggest that Christians start learning what it said in the original language and try to understand what the original language meant, because what you see in your English Bible is not accurate to the original language at all. I mean, a little bit, but there's so much that's inaccurate that you can't take any of it like strictly literal. Icon says, wait, when did we get to Bible studies with Achaeos? I don't know, Icon. Welcome to the chat. It's Mr. Lee's fault. We'll blame it on Mr. Lee. Helito. It's fascinating. I'm sure it pertains to Sasquatch somehow. It does in the sense that some people think that things that are mentioned in the Bible are actually what Sasquatch is, Nephilim or giants or Nephilim or something like that. Now, I think and for the record, I just read Romans 3:9-12. Did you? Hair helmet, you mean? That would do good. Good to see you. Have my best. Read Acts. I don't got a Bible on me to read Acts, but Robert says, the more I hear not to vote or think right, the more they push left, the more I'm pro-Israel, more pro Mr. T, not going the Mr. B way, says Robert. Yeah, it's nuts where people are right now. I mean, there's got to be, well, a lot of those people are paid to say the stuff they're saying, though. You got to remember that. Now, I'm no supporter of Israel. That's for sure. Israel proved themselves our enemy a long time ago. But I'm not, I don't want to take sides on any sides over there. We just need to stop sending money and weapons to foreign wars decade after decade like we have, and just come over here and just mind our own business for a while. But we've been funding that conflict forever. And I think they keep it stoked up on purpose. Nothing wrong with being good and kind. That's all that the religion I need, man. There you go. Yeah, just be good to do unto others. Blah, blah, blah. Jojo says I'm atheist. Bobby says I was raised Pentecostal. Mr. Lee says, Jojo, are you frothing at the mouth, atheist? No, she's not frothing at the mouth. She's clearly not frothing at the mouth, atheist. But I'm sure she knows exactly the kind I'm talking about. They get online and they're just aggressively attacking Christians. Like they have like this unhinged, illogical, just hatred of Christians. It's crazy. And they just attack them online all the time. Mr. Lee says, I was sent to a strict Catholic school. That's all I'm saying. Nuns with rollers. I bet Mr. Lee got that yardstick across the knuckles a few times. Actually, I've had that happen to me. Race icon says race 75% Catholic, 25% Baptist. Kind of interesting. Yeah, kind of. How's that happen? You talking about like your grandparents, like 3 Catholics and 2 Baptists? Is that how that works? Jojo says yes, more modern English. Yeah, it won't be accurate to what it means anyway, though. Icon says, have you seen that show before, Mr. Lee? Mr. Lee says, I have not. Icon, keen to watch more. Thanks for the intro. Glad you enjoyed the movie. Where's the... Trying to bring up the Muddy Monster thing again, since I got kicked off the stream somehow. Icon says that movie was... Whoops, where'd it go? Was what? Absolutely loved it. Jojo says, I have personal reasons why I don't believe. My mom did, though. You know, when I talk about how the universe functions and you look at what Mr. Ken Wheeler has to say, and, you know, when we start looking at there's some kind of universal mind or consciousness to reality. And so there's people out there, when they hear about this and they start learning about this, they want to call that God. Because they're so latched on the idea of that there's got to be a God. So in order to keep their belief in God relevant, they got to call the universal consciousness God. Well, universal consciousness is just, that's just a word. That's the phrase I've used a lot, and it's not accurate at all to describe what it is. But it's good enough. Ken, I think his usual word for it is probably the absolute. He calls it the absolute. But whatever you call it, a lot of people, they want to call it. They want to anthropomorphize it in a way and say that's their God. Well, I'm sorry to tell you that thing has very little interest in piddly little Earth, a tiny, tiny little speck of sand and a vast beach that goes on forever. But these people, they want to believe God. You know, the whole thing. I have a personal relationship with Jesus. That reeks to me of some kind of self-importance that they have. I have a personal relationship with Jesus. So really, how gay is this relationship? Not judging. He did travel around with 12 dudes. Just saying, he did travel around with 12 dudes. According to the stories. All right, getting a little sacrilegious here. Miss Lee says, my mother was Wicca nuts. But interesting. They're not typically, they're not big, like hugely organized religion. And so they're far less dangerous, right? Because, they don't pull a bunch of money together on a grand scale and then manipulate countries, nations, wars. You don't have the Catholic Church torturing infidels, and you don't have, holy wars, inquisitions, witch trials, all that nonsense. You just have some witches doing weird stuff. At least weird to average people that aren't Wiccan. Jojo says, as was I initially, and still am to a certain extent. A little bit of Wiccan in Jojo. Are you 75% atheist and 25% Wiccan? Icon says, my mom's side is Catholic, my dad's was Baptist. So you're just saying your mom's influence was bigger on a religious scale, on a religious side of things. Icon says, I didn't have the time in the Baptist church that I did in the Catholic due to my parents' divorce. Icon says, according to other tests, Jesus did take a wife at some point. Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier. Like, studying the Gospels. There was a college course I took that specifically studied the Gospels. But one of the things we learned about was that there were other religious texts talking about the story of Jesus that included stuff like that the church did not like. So that's why we only got the Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John versions. 4 versions that still don't agree with each other 100%. So again, if it's the word of God, there's one truth. Why is there 4 different versions? Sandra says, okay, Lockbeard. What? What'd I say? Let me get, was it the disciples thing? I can't help myself. Jojo says, I tell you one day, Lockbeard. Okay. All right. Anyway, let's look at this, because there was this article this month. What was this on WREX, blah, 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 13. Anyways, the news station. Big muddy monster sightings set to increase after the new statue unveiling. Okay. So they made this statue of the big muddy monster. And the way they're talking, like the sightings are going to increase. I think they're basically telling on themselves in a way, or making a prophecy that people are going to start seeing the big muddy monsters, their Bigfoot in that area. More, and it's because Bigfoot on the brain, right? Because as they, starting this festival they have and bringing, the statue here and putting more Bigfoot on the mind, so people are going to be thinking they saw Bigfoot more and more. So that's where your sightings are going to come. Otherwise, how do they know the sightings are going to increase, right? Well, they know because Bigfoot on the mind equals people think they see Bigfoot more. So, yeah.
We'll expect to see more of the big muddy monster in southern Illinois. 3, 2, 1. The big reveal for the big statue. Dozens were at the corner of Route 13 and 127 in Murfreesboro for the new landmark. The big Muddy Monster statue is bronze, stands 8'8" and it weighs nearly 800 pounds. You know, 50 years ago this week, Murfreesboro police investigated the first Muddy Monster sighting. Mayor Will Stevens says the city's looking forward to more people sighting their monster.
We think about Metropolis and Superman. We think about Chester and Popeye and all of the marketing and things that come out of those characters connected to those communities. And so we think this will be very much the same as that. Frankly, where there's Bigfoot, there's big bucks. And we think that this will be a tourist attraction, not just for people here locally, but for people all over the country.
A company out of Salt Lake City created the statue. They used the Murfreesboro Police Report's description to come up with the design.
Yep. Hopefully y'all heard.
Created the statue. They used.
Oops. Go back to the face. There we go.
Lake City.
I don't want that stupid
Created the
thing in the middle of the face, but whatever. All right. Can you hear that? Did y'all hear that? Yes. Should tell you the oh, never mind. There's a novel. Never mind. We'll skip over that. Robert Moore says, whoops. Come on, chat. King James, less than half the truth at best. Yeah. Well, you know, everyone that edited it, you know, all the different versions, you know, stuff got changed. Every time a scribe was copying over the old version, or a mistake or two was made, and that changed it. So you need the original writings, the original language, and then you just got to hope that you actually truly understand all the meanings in the original language too. The fact is, you're never going to get to 100% understanding of what the original writings actually meant. And the current version of the Bible, you're so far from what the original was that you really shouldn't get too latched on to specifics in it. So Timmy Boy says, what's going on? Welcome, Timmy Boy. Muddy looks like a bodybuilder. Yeah, well, and look at this face. It looks like a human that's just hairy, right? It's got a hooded nose. It's a very human-looking individual. And that's what I've been trying to tell people. I was like, I think this right here, this is not too much of an inaccurate depiction. You know, according to a lot of people, what their descriptions are, people that's the ones that seem more credible, you know. It certainly makes a lot of sense to me when you're looking at the footprints. Those footprints they're human. Those are human footprints, just a big type of human, right? Just a really big human. And any creature that has those feet, because it took a very specific evolutionary path to get from the chimpanzee-like foot that our common ancestor with chimpanzees was very similar to a chimpanzee, really. There hasn't been a lot of need for much change in that line. But they had the feet where, you know, you had the opposable thumb on the foot. And so it took a very specific evolutionary path to get from there to what we have. So anything that has a foot that's like that is something extremely closely related to us. There's not, you're not talking about, as some people tried to say, convergent evolution. They heard about that somewhere and thought, oh, this is a cool idea. You know, like quantum Bigfoot and all that nonsense. No, the creature that has that footprint is human. That footprint plus, it has an upright body stance, it's bipedal, and it has that hooded nose. This isn't an ape-like nose. I mean, well, technically it is because we are an ape, but it has the hooded nose like a human. All those features combined spells with 99.9% certainty Homo sapiens. This is a large type of Homo sapiens. We being the a lot of people like to say, well, you know, they can't get that big because, you know, our type of human can't handle growing too tall, because, you know, people that get abnormally huge have a lot of health issues, a lot of health problems. But as you know, different racial groups have different types of health problems in general, right? I don't think it's really a non-PC thing to say. The fact is different racial groups are more predisposed towards different health problems because they're less adapted to certain things than the others are. So this race of people, if they exist, clearly have adapted to be able to be that size. And, you know, so it's not a problem. This is not a problem for a person to grow to this size if they are a race of people that spent, you know, 100,000 years adapting to that, or more, probably more. So it's funny how some people, they don't want to accept that this is Homo sapiens because they say that humans, you know, can't get that big. But this thing gets that big. So evidently some kind of person, because that's clearly a person right there, can get that big. You know, it's like looking at wolves. You know, someone bred wolves over many generations, and really it's only been like 10, 15,000 years that we've been manipulating wolves into Chihuahuas, Beagles, and St. Bernards. We've drastically changed the shape and form. And there are some health concerns with some of those animals where they made the snout too short and they can't breathe right. And the hips on a chow dog is a issue and stuff like that. But that wasn't natural selective breeding. But you can see how much drastic change can occur in a really short period of time with adequate selective pressures, which humans put on the dog. Well, if Bigfoot spent 10 times that amount of time in nature adapting to be a little bigger and hairier, this is not a problem for a human to get this size of a race of people that adapted to that. Because the ones who were having health problems with being a little bit bigger were the ones that died and didn't pass on their DNA. The ones that could handle being a little bigger, they were the ones that passed on that DNA that was a little bit better. And over many generations, they became capable of not just surviving and being healthy at this size, but thriving. This is completely not a problem for these big hairy humans to be this size. It just isn't. So, I mean, hopefully, we can put that kind of thing to rest, that idea that it's not possible. It just can't be. They can't be human because humans can't be that big. Well, I disagree. The humans can be that big if it's a group that spent 100,000 years adapting to being that big. And if Sasquatch is real and they have all these very clear human characteristics, then guess what? Some racial group of humans adapted to being that big, and that's it. Where's the chat flying on me? Sure does. Angel's here. Says, hi, everyone. I'm late. We'll watch the beginning later. I don't know. You may not want to see the beginning. Welcome to the chat. Sounds good. Awesome. Sanders. Always. You like the bronze Sasquatch? Is cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm glad I like the design. They, and they said that they based this on the sightings reports, right? I think this is a fairly accurate description of what Sasquatch is. Clearly a type of person, a hairy, large person. I think they said this was a statue 8'8" or something like that, or 8 foot. I can't remember what they said. JoJo's oddly titillated. She said he ain't that bad looking for a squatch. Robert Moore says, yeah, they do look very human. Yeah. You take the hairiness off of there, that's a person. And the description that most people give, especially when they tell me hooded nose and it's an upright body plan, it's clearly some kind of primate, but it's got these very specifically human adaptations that you couldn't have gotten all these adaptations unless you went through our evolutionary path with us as one of us up until a certain point, and then there was another split where you had some white people and some black people, and over here you had some Sasquatch. Well, what's the problem there? I don't see one at all. And as you can imagine, I believe that as a race of human beings, they deserve the full human rights, the full protection of constitutional law, that they should not be subjected to any kind of hunting or experimentation or caging or put in a zoo or any of that nonsense. No, this is a person. These are people, and you must treat them with the full human rights. Walk your pup. People that think they are looking for a stupid ape should try a mirror, says Robert Moore. Well, and you're bringing up another point that I've made in the past is another thing that could be looked at as supporting evidence, or supporting, maybe it's not evidence, maybe a strong word for it, but it supports the idea that these are human, is the intelligence level that would be required to stay, a step ahead of us all this time without technology. You would have to be, because a lot of people go their whole lives without ever seeing a black bear, even though there's black bear in their area, because black bear are fairly elusive and stay out of the way of humans. Mountain lions, same thing, very elusive. But our technology sometimes overcomes that elusiveness. because the animal the animal just isn't smart enough to completely outsmart us all the time. But it does a lot of the time because people aren't thinking about it. They don't realize that they walk out their door every day and there's a bush right there by their sidewalk, and there's a mountain lion sitting there thinking, should I, I could take this human down, maybe, I don't know. Or maybe I could snatch their dog. They got a dog with them, and one day your dog disappears and you think, well, your dog just ran away, but maybe the mountain lion ate it or something like that. Some people hunt these animals. Some people hunt bears, and some people hunt mountain lions. You can track them down, but with Sasquatch, it seems to be more difficult. And so, you could argue that that's just an indication that they're more elusive even than mountain lions and bears. But I would say that although that may be the case, that may only be possible to be much more elusive simply because you're intelligent enough to understand the levels of elusiveness you have to have in order to stay a step ahead of humans. They understand how smart we are because they are themselves just as smart as us. They just don't do technology. Now, I can't say for certain that this is a fact, but this hypothesis is that they have chosen not to use technology in order to not leave evidence of their existence. They have the brain power. This hypothesis is they have the brain power to develop all the technologies we have. They just have chosen not to. Maybe there's more to it than just not to leave evidence that they're there. Maybe part of it is they understand that technology is damaging to them and makes them weak. I mean, look at us. We've become pathetic and weak. Most people today couldn't survive a day in the wilderness. You drop half these people out there, they will die. Technology has made us weak. Homes, buildings, roofs over our head, something as simple as that. Electricity, Wi-Fi, climate control. A lot of people, they step outside for 5 minutes. It's too hot, and they're running right back into the AC. They just could never make it out in the wild. Meanwhile, you got Sasquatch here who has chosen to stay toughened to the elements. So they got the intelligence, and they also got the resilience to endure the rigors of the wild. Icon says, Timmy's still waiting for it to dry out, about a month overdue. Mr. Lee says, like gingers get sunburned. Yeah, you do, but you get sunburned more than you should because you're not eating 100% fatty meat. Like I did get a little bit singed down at the creek and stuff out in the sun. That would have blistered me up, but it did not. And I'm not even eating 100% carnivore all the time right now. But because I've gone as far as I have with it, it has allowed me to be much more resilient against the sun. But I think probably, because like I did that 6 month stretch of just pure carnivore, that like changed the game forever. So while if I do have something bad and I do have a blood sugar low, it's never as bad as it used to be. some joint pain might come back, some gut dysregulation might come back, but it's never getting as bad as it used to be, because I've healed so much, and so I can take a little bit of it. But trying to get it straightened out on the diet thing, because I know it's bad and I know it's not helping me. But yeah, if you go 100% carnivore for a while, you might find what a lot of carnivores have found out is that they do not sunburn anymore, at least not easily. So yeah, like I said, I spent a bunch of time in the sun here recently. You can tell I did not blister up. Got a little red, but none of the extreme pain, not that lobster level situation, none of that. Robert says, well, I think they're over 60% us. Their life selects for the features. And JoJo says, and blondes, Mr. Lee, what? Yeah, get sunburned. Yeah. It's relentless here. Beautiful day. Mr. Lee says, Timberwolves still chilly, although it was quite sunny earlier. 90, oh my God. Yeah, you in the UK, you guys don't get to see a lot of 90-degree weather, do you? It's 92 where I'm at. And we'll get some 100 degrees plus. It's coming. JoJo says, oh, she's using the big scientific words. Wait for it. Brachiocephalic dog breeds, Lockheed, like the pug, French bulldogs you see. Yep. Yeah, exactly. They've jacked up their muzzle, breeding them for that snub nose, that stubby nose, and it's not good. It messes them up. Mr. Lee says the pug is doing just fine in this weather. Haven't had to turn the fan on her yet. Oh my gosh. Brett, the nose is shorter and shorter. Yeah, without much mind for how much the animal's life just probably sucks. Jojo says, hey, Lucky, I've dated worse. Robert Moore says, we still don't know how much hair Neanderthal had. We assume they was like us. We don't know how much hair Denisovans had. We assume. Well, in the case of Denisovans and Neanderthals, although we really don't know, I think that they probably may look very similar to us when it comes to hair, because they're a very recent race that was bred into us. They became part of us. So they didn't really, they weren't separate species. So anthropology needs to stop pull their heads out their butts and admit that they were wrong this entire time. Because you cannot breed with another species, and you can't end up having a race of us today where we're up to 4% Neanderthal DNA in our ancestry, and then still say, oh, that was a separate species. No, you can't, because it was clearly the same species as us, because we bred with it. That's the definition of species. So they just completely stop calling them Homo neanderthalensis and start calling them Homo sapiens subspecies Neanderthalensis, or just call them, the Neanderthal race or something like that. I don't care, but they need to stop calling them a separate species name. And the same for Denisovans. And I think going all the way back at least to Homo erectus, Homo ergaster, certainly including all the intermediates since then. But and possibly going back even further, because they don't know for a fact that any of those were separate species, but they were so quick to claim, hey, I discovered a new hominid species, and started naming these things without any actual proof that they were separate species at all. But it's a really big subject, so we don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole. Now that being said, if we're talking about the potential existence of bigger skeletons that have been found and hidden, some people were looking at those and saying, well, see, those were the giants of old. Well, maybe there were giants, or maybe they're Sasquatch skeletons. Because just like what you're saying here, we don't know how much hair came with those skeletons, let alone that even if the skeletons really exist. But, that's a whole other issue too. But the fact is there's a bunch of people, they see these giant skeletons and they're like, oh, there's evidence of these giants. Well, maybe that's the giant right there. Maybe ancient people who encountered these really recognized them as a people and weren't too focused on how hairy they were, and were just focused on how big they were and how human they really were, and called them giants. So what I'm saying is ancient stories of giants and Sasquatch, maybe they're one and the same thing. Maybe they're not two separate things. Some of our ghost DNA. They could be some of our ghost DNA. Me and my pug went to the fair last Saturday. The little girl thought she won her. There was a toy stall where you could win a pug toy. She was so disappointed. Oh my gosh. Yeah, she wanted a real pug, not a stuffed animal. Go outside with no shoes on, stand still for 5 minutes. If it burns your feet, it will burn hers. Yeah, be careful about that. Robert says, ghost DNA, they find an S, but does not trace to Neanderthal or Denisovan. I think we have some of their DNA. It's selected out. No, they've actually detected it in the majority of it's in Caucasian people, and in Asians to a lesser degree, and then zero in Africans. So we do have it in us. Mr. Lee says, Jojo, yes. Jojo, I usually walk her early. She can't walk too fast neither. She's 13. Coming to the rescue. So many coming to the rescue. Pugs. Yeah. The whole rescue situations. People have got to spay and neuter their dogs. We got to come up with some way to make it happen, like actual legal repercussions for someone who fails to do so somehow. Like if a stray ends up on the street and somehow we were able to track it to you chose not to spay or neuter your dog had puppies, and then you dumped the dog. I think maybe some mandatory jail time's in order. I don't know. I don't know what to say. There's no perfect answer to any crime, really, but these people will not stop doing this stuff. I mean, when I dropped off my beehive when I moved to this town, when I set up my beehive, there was a dog on the road, and you just knew somebody dumped this poor dog, and he was freaking out. He was scared. He come running right up to the van, trying to get in the van. This dog don't know me, but he's trying to jump in the van. And then the other guy, he pulled up, and the dog's wanting to try and get into his truck. This poor dog wanted a place, and I had no place to put a dog. I don't know what happened to that dog, but these people dump dogs all the time. And we need to find some way to catch them, somehow catch them. I don't know how, maybe getting DNA on as many dogs as possible so that we can start tracking down, okay, this DNA came from this dog, and the last we knew this dog was owned by this person. So let's see, let's go ask some questions. Let's poke around. Let's figure out, well, what happened to the dog, the mother of this dog we found on the road? Where's the mother of this dog? You own the mother of this dog. We know this genetically. And this dog is on the street. Care to explain? You own the mother. The mother had to give birth to this puppy. Either it gave birth to this puppy while being owned by you or being owned by someone else that you sold her to or gave her to. So give us that name. Show us the dog. Where's the dog? Who's responsible for this puppy who's now a grown dog on the street? We need to find out. And that person needs to pay for all the expenses to deal with this dog. Now, obviously, they don't deserve to have a dog anymore because they put a dog on the street. But they're going to pay for spaying or neutering. They're going to pay for any medical expenses. They're going to pay for any food. They're going to pay for the resources of the rescue, of the dog catcher, the fuel in his truck, everything. Because we've got to put an end to this nonsense. Sick of seeing people sitting down there at Walmart selling puppies. Where's the waiting list? You shouldn't have to sit down at Walmart and sell puppies. What you should have is a waiting list of people who want to buy puppies from your dog. 20 people plus. So that when that litter of puppies is born, they're already spoken for. You should never produce a litter of puppies until you have a waiting list of people who want those puppies. Period. But humans can't control our own breeding, so we're never going to get that reined in. Robert says, I think they swim very well, and in summer, like caves in the day. Cool shade ponds roam more at night. Yeah. We've talked about that. They probably swim pretty well. And that's a whole big subject too, going back to the aquatic ape hypothesis that humans, we descended, we're a semi-aquatic coastal marine animal. And if Sasquatch is a branch off of us, they are also still a semi-aquatic animal. Now they've lost because we lost a lot of our hair for, just like, dolphins lost. Dolphins still have their hair, but it's so extremely fine, they appear hairless. They still got the hair. Obviously, dolphins went a little further with aquatic adaptations than we did, a lot further. But we did get aquatic adaptations, a bunch of them. One of them is, and at least I contend, I don't know if anyone else is championing this, but this is my hypothesis, is that the upright body plan of humans is specifically the result of our aquatic adaptation period. So I'm not going to go too much detail about that right now. It's not the story that the anthropologist came up with. I think it's bullshit. But anyway, Sasquatch carrying the same adaptations we had, like the hooded nose, keep water out of the nose, anyway, aquatic can swim quite well. I phoned the dog rescue near me last week. They had a pug puppy girl there I was interested in, but they consider rehoming with two bitches together. Why is that? But they wouldn't consider rehoming with two bitches together. I don't know. They come up with stupid rules. Look, the reality is if this was the wild, like with coyotes or wolves or whatever, though what comes together and they sort it out. You get two bitches together, they might have a little argument at first figuring out who's the top dog, But once they sort it out, and they just get along just fine. They're family. Jojo says, we do, Miss Leah. We'll keep an eye open for you if you like. Please do. 5 boys, they say, won't live together, and I had males and females all together. Yeah, I don't know who comes up with these ideas. We brought in all kinds of dogs. My mom used to take in every stray we had 14 dogs, all kinds of random dogs, and then cats living with them. Had a ferret that ran around part of the time. We had a pet possum that ran around, and we had all these dogs and these cats, and our animals figured out that they needed to all live together and get along to some extent. Sometimes there'd be a skirmish, but you deal with the dog. You say, hey, you need to chill the hell out. You can't be attacking that. We had chickens, and these weren't livestock guardian dogs. These are all different random mutt dogs, and they had to figure out they couldn't be messing with the chickens, the possum. The ferret ran loose half the time, Hell, that ferret, like we had a little bitty dog that was like, she was born, this is a serious runt. She was born like smaller than what her genetics was. She was just really small. That ferret thought that dog was his girlfriend. He'd chase her. I'll put a word in tomorrow for you, initially. Stop laughing. Stop laughing at what? Good to laugh. Good job, fantastic. Hey, OGG, what's up? See Volta BS parody with Big and Dog. Yeah. Been more than there than Lane bad. Bigfoot dogman get manger fleas. I don't know. Manger fleas. Something like that. I don't know. It's 11 days. I need spanking. Robert says, I know Neanderthal, but Bigfoot select out. Groupies. About 20 years younger. It's a great channel. The girl will be wanting Lockbeard. How far behind am I in chat? Joe says, Lucky, regarding animals in the UK, even some rescues abuse them. Yes. And still don't get much more than a slapped wrist and a fine. We are pushing for rescues to have a license. Yeah. You got to do something. I hate to get government involvement, but sometimes the only way to get things done right is to have some kind of legal framework, so that addresses those issues. Bred my Staffy about 20 years ago, and now even her pups have passed years ago. Yeah. I wouldn't breed any dog, whatever the breed. Yeah. Like when I first got my Great Pyrenees, I was like, well, I wanted to have at least one intact female, because I wanted to be able to breed my own in the future. Because I was thinking, maybe growing into, a ranch and just keep growing. Now I never did that, but the reality is the way the world is, I could probably go. Well, I know I could, because I went to a few shelters and found Great Pyrenees dogs in the shelters. Full blood, apparently. I was looking for, of course, I wasn't doing DNA tests, but if it has the physical features of a Great Pyrenees dog, and it's a big dog, and it's got a double dew claw, that's a really good sign. That's 100% Great Pyrenees. And the one that I got out of a shelter, she was behaviorally exactly Pyrenees, right down to the stubborn streak, where she kind of wanted to be in charge, so of course she got spayed, because you can't take her out of the shelter without her being spayed. But so the reality is one could probably indefinitely repopulate their livestock guardian dog team just by getting Great Pyrenees dogs out of the shelters. Meaning there's no real necessity to breed them. My only concern is if society falls apart and that system is gone and everybody's been killing each other out there and I'm out on my ranch and I need to produce a new generation of Great Pyrenees dogs one day, I wouldn't be able to. So I'd almost want to maintain, one female, she has one litter, and keep a couple females from that intact. And then, 4 years down the road, have another litter and so on. But, not have any more than what's necessary to maintain the line and maintain some that can actually breed. So past chat, hopefully. Isn't the octopus nearest the human? What? No. Right about the water ape, yeah. We have a ton of aquatic adaptations. We're clearly a semi-aquatic coastal marine ape. But and I don't know if anyone is using that particular terminology, but that's what I say: semi-aquatic coastal marine ape, specifically adapted to thrive the best on the coast of oceans, seawater. Although we can deal with lakes and rivers and fresh water just fine, but we're at our best on an ocean coast, health-wise and survivability. Lake apes, you call us lake apes. No, not lake apes, not lake ape. Ocean, semi-aquatic coastal marine. I think it encapsulates pretty much what we are. Yeah, they can't because they haven't got the aquatic adaptations exactly. One of the things that differentiated humans from the chimpanzees is that our line, not just that we went fully 100% fatty meat carnivore, abandoning all the plants, but also that, and of course, the aquatic adaptations were connected to all that too, because we were getting into the water to get shellfish, to spear fish, to net fish and squid and other types of stuff like that. That was something that helped us start down that road to become the 100% carnivorous ape that we are today. Not omnivores. People need to get that out of their head. It's been drilled into their head for so long. Oh, you need the plants. You need vegetables. No, you don't get vegetables. You don't need vegetables. Vegetables are toxic to you. Just because you survive eating them doesn't make them healthy for you. Just because you do a test on an orange and it contains vitamin C doesn't mean you should get your vitamin C from an orange. You forget about the part with the sugars, which causes an elevation of blood sugar, glucose, the glucose molecule being extremely similar to the vitamin C molecule, thus competing with absorption for absorption with the vitamin C directly, making it harder to absorb the vitamin C. The fruit that you're eating to get the vitamin C contains material in it that makes it harder for you to absorb the vitamin C. Do you not see the problem here? And it's a problem with all plants. They all contain anti-nutrients that makes it harder for you to absorb the nutrients you need, various nutrients. Meanwhile, you eat a piece of fatty meat and there's not a problem at all there. All the nutrition needed by the human animals there, including the vitamin C, which you need way less of when you're eating 100% fatty meat. Why? Because we're evolved to do that. Obviously, some of the seafood adaptation is still in us. Seafood's still good for us, but we're mainly adapted to red fatty meat. clams, crayfish. Is it ready to read it all? Wasn't meant to read it all. Halitogen. Sadly, here in the UK, there are so many large breeds. No one wants them. Yeah. I'd like to one day have a big ranch and just, I would adopt all kinds of livestock guardian breeds, the big breeds, you know, to protect my sheep and goats and chickens and cattle and camels. I think I'd want to have some other animals too, all the way up to giraffes. Maybe even some rhinos and stuff would be cool. Yeah, I mean, I think big. When I'm thinking ranching, I'm thinking big time ranching. But just I haven't watched the video on screen yet. Yeah, we did. There's not much to it. They're just unveiling the bronze statue. We're just mainly talking about how the statue being designed to look like what the reports of the of the big muddy monster described it as, and how it looks exactly like a human being, and just a hairy one. Well, not too different from Joe's description, I would say. You know, it's got the hooded nose. Finding trackway got robbed. What? Cool looking statue. Made of bronze. Wood, almost looks like a wood carver. Yeah, it's a bronze statue. So sorry that happened. Hope you're not too shook up, man. What more said? I like not fast enough food. I like not fast enough food. What? Jen says it was a shock, but none of us heard anything. I was locked in my car, sleeping. They didn't mess with my car. Mr. Lee says, Lockbeard, the doctor phoned me with blood test results today. Apparently, I have low blood platelets. I wonder why I've been getting those nosebleeds constantly. Further tests have to be done. Lips are different than Joe's. Yeah. He had thinner lips or something like that. You sort out, Mr. Lee. Anyway, I got to hurry because I got to get out of here. So this is in Murfreesboro, Illinois, and they're saying expect to see some more big muddy monster in southern Illinois. Of course, they're talking about really the statue and stuff like that, but I guarantee you, people are going to get Bigfoot on the mind, and they're going to they're going to have a rash of sightings. Dozens were at the corner of Routes 13, 127 in Murfreesboro Saturday morning for the unveiling of the new big muddy monster landmark. The bronze 8-foot 8-inch statue weighs nearly 800 pounds. It was 50 years ago this week when Murfreesboro police investigated the first muddy monster sighting. Oh, of course, they got a picture of Patty. Now, they had another version of this article here, like earlier in the month. Bigfoot sightings on the rise, a growing phenomenon. Yeah. Sure. Rockford, Illinois, shadowy woods, misty hills. Of the state line region and southern Illinois, whispers of a mysterious creature have long captivated the imaginations of locals and visitors like Bigfoot, also known as Sasquatch, has woven itself into the fabric of folklore, with sightings and encounters becoming increasingly common over the years. Fueling this fascination are popular television shows on networks like Travel Channel and Animal Planet, where intrepid explorers embark on nocturnal quests to seek out the elusive beast. Yeah, you're not going to find Sasquatch at night in his territory. You stupid human. I'm just telling you, like, if you see one, it's because he wants you to see him. Humans, you're gonna have to come out with some serious technology to beat this guy. These programs often feature gripping eyewitness accounts, adding a layer of intrigue to the phenomenon. One landmark event in this ongoing saga unfolded in Murfreesboro, Illinois, where a community gathered at the intersection of Route 13 and 127 for the unveiling of the towering bronze statue. This monument pays homage to the legendary Big Muddy Monster. It was half a century ago when the Murfreesboro police first delved into reports of the creature's presence, sparking a legacy that continues to captivate the region. So they're trying to start this this tourist. It's a tourist thing. They're trying to bring tourism, Bigfoot tourism, to the town. So they've got a mural here, which you can't see the side. Where's the rest of the picture? The Bigfoot is over to the right on this mural, but it's cut off in the picture for some reason. Anyway, here, let's go to this video here. This is, let me make sure y'all can see it. Yeah, y'all can see it. Let me do the chat first. Another thing, just another thing. Tell me about it. Yeah, food is too fast. Can't catch it. I like not fast enough food. You would have been one of those. You would have been one of those cavemen that hunted turtles. Yeah, you don't have to. You're not supposed to chase it. You're just supposed to sneak up on it and throw a spear at it. Getting it pictured out. Hit it, knuckleheads. Thank you, Mr. Lee. Just done. Forgot my way in. Forgot on the way in. It's okay. So this is like a documentary about the muddy, like there's the big muddy monster creature. It's on YouTube on Stash Movies channel. It's called The Creature from Big Muddy, Bigfoot documentary, full movie, Murfreesboro, Illinois. So if y'all haven't seen it, maybe you might like it. I don't know. They all kind of look the same to me these days because just people telling stories you really can't verify. But here's a piece of it.
Well, here in southern Illinois, I'm actually located in Missouri, just on the other side of the river. But the lore does permeate all throughout the river region. And Murfreesboro is known for its mud monster. And he's called Big Muddy by the people in the area, or the Big Muddy Monster, or Mongo. There's a couple of different names that he goes by, but it all came from a number of encounters that occurred in 1973 through 1975, as well as some cases in the late 80s. People in the Murfreesboro area, which is located on the banks of the Big Muddy River, reported seeing a 8-foot tall, 350-pound creature of some sort, some sort of like creature that was white with sort of a shaggy dog hair that was matted and muddy. A number of sightings occurred to the point where the police took interest. Hunters came from throughout the region to look for the monster. Nothing was really found other than some reports from people seeing and hearing the alleged creature and some tracks.
Despite the absence.
Don't want to play too much. I'd probably get a freaking. Don't want to get a strike, or don't want to get another video taken down because of their stupid rules. But anyway, so you see, you see what it is, where it is. If y'all want to see the whole thing, there it is. It's on YouTube. Did that share it out? Mr. Lee says the murals are good. Let's all go live there. I don't know if you want to go live there, but so white and matted mud. Yeah, basically. The reports were that it was white, which those kind of Bigfoot reports I kind of find, because how does a white Bigfoot hide effectively? He's got to be really good at hiding. So it makes me wonder: was there somebody running around in a white fursuit, that would, as they point out in the video, in this documentary, this is area where a lot of people are well armed, and it would be kind of dumb to run around in a white fursuit. You would make you'd make a good target. So I don't know, so at any rate, this town of Murfreesboro is working on building up Bigfoot tourism to the region based on these sightings that go back to the 1970s. So, yeah. Jen says, the requisite hillbilly guy. Yes, indeed. Indeed. And then, of course, they've started this Big Muddy Monster Festival. It kicks off this weekend, starting today, I think. Let me make sure you guys can see the long hair and long beard. What you talking about? Murfreesboro, this Big Muddy Monster Festival kicks off this weekend, and it's full of events. It's full of events. The festival started last year, so it's brand new. After the Muddy Monster Comics owner Mike No moved his business from Carbondale, where it was called Campus Comics, to Murfreesboro. No said he based the title of his business on the local Big Muddy Monster legends and sightings, especially the sightings of 1973. Nobody was monetizing it, so he decided to start the festival last year. I feel like this is a good live stream for Raptor to be here. He'd be like, see, I've been telling y'all. There's a committee made up of 6 people, all with their own jobs. Mike No is the organizer. Will Stevens is the mayor of Murfreesboro and acts as the city liaison. Sarah Archer handles the vendors for the marketplace. Terry Crane is from Murfreesboro Main Street and helps with the Big Muddy Monster 5K run walk. Jessica Van Pelt handles the presentations at the Liberty Theater. The weekend begins with the Muddy Monster Weekend block party at Brews Brothers Tap Room at 7 p.m. Friday, June 21st. That's in an hour and a half. So, if any of you got a private jet, you might be able to get there in time. It'll be complete with live music. Saturday, that's tomorrow, the festival continues with a farmer's market, Big Muddy Monster 5K run walk, which is sponsored by Murfreesboro Main Street. Sally Logan Library is putting on a scavenger hunt where kids can come in and find monsters all over the library. More live music, a billboard unveiling for the Big Muddy Monster statue, a baby goat petting zoo, and much more will occur. The Liberty Theater will host presentations from noon to 5 p.m. They begin with Christian Barrel, who saw the Big Muddy Monster in 1973. He was outside catching lightning bugs when he ran in the house and told his parents that there was a big white ghost in the backyard. His parents didn't think much of it until the police showed up because the neighbors also saw it. And they do interview Christian Barrel in that documentary I just showed you that short clip from. There will also be some investigators presenting at the theater, including David Eller, who is from Tennessee, and Harold Binney. Joe Jenkins, who has had a long career in law enforcement, will present. He's seen a lot of things that can't be explained. His friend Jim Peters will be assisting in his presentation. The Southern Illinois Monster Hunters is a local group that will present some evidence found of the Big Muddy Monster. Joe Turry will be introducing and presenting his documentary, Creature from Big Muddy. Kevin Nelson wrote a book about the Big Muddy Monster and will discuss it. So I don't know if anybody's close enough to check that out. Maybe they want to, maybe they don't. So yeah. OGD says 879 genes are shared with the octopus and humans. Yeah, but we share a lot of genes with a lot of different animals because we're all from the same planet. But our closest relative is the chimpanzee. So, and then followed by gorilla and other great apes after that, and so on. So, octopus is a mollusk. It's while being from the same planet, it is related to us, but it's distantly related. Been Googling. I have. So Daily Mirror. Mr. Lee says, Jen, are you saying Lockbeard is a hillbilly? Yeah, it might be an accurate description. I don't know. I'm very close to a hill right now, a really big hill. I've been saying this for 6 years. Raptor Crazy has been saying this for 6 years. Yeah, exactly. Jen says, Shh, Mr. Lee, no, I was actually talking about the guy in the video. Poor baby goats. What about the baby goats? What about the baby goats? Are you saying Locke is a hillbilly, Mr. Lee? Said Jen. Well, if I am, I am. Mr. Lee says, I'm English, Jen. I don't know what a hillbilly is. Oh, Chewbacca says, arg. All right, I got to wrap her up. Get the heck out of here. This place is going to close shortly. So if anybody has anything else, I know we didn't stick strictly to paranormal stuff, but there's a lot of interesting stuff going on in the human world. Icon says a hillbilly is a North Country bumpkin. Awesome seeing you back. Thanks, JoJo. It's going to be a little harder for me to do live streams because I pretty much have to do them here, and this place is closed. This place closes by 6, and I really need to start getting out of here. Well, there's 30 minutes till, and I really need to get out of here. So I can't, unless it's like a cool night outside, but the computer it's just not going to handle the heat, because I don't have a place where I can plug in to an outlet where I park and also access Wi-Fi to at least run the fan for the computer. But because I need to be able to plug it in. I need a power supply. I don't got, I just can't. So there's just no way for me to do live streams other than right here, and to keep the computer cool enough to do it. So it's going to have to be daytime. Can't ever be a Sunday, that kind of thing. Major holidays ain't going to happen. They may stream the Muddy Monster Festival. Well, hello, goodbye, says Icon. Jen says, I'll be doing a show with the Buckwash Cruise Sunday. I don't know if it's going to be live. So everybody, where's that? Where are you doing it? You doing it on the Buckwash channel, or what are their channel? You can post a link if you want. Icon says, Mike actually can explain the North Country for you. Fabian. Rather not. Well, I don't know if there's enough people that could pay to. I don't know what, how I would do that other than either getting in a place that's air conditioning, which I don't know about all that. Somehow putting air conditioning on the But see, that would require a serious power system, and say, like, it's so expensive, it's just easier just not to do it. You know what I mean? If I could buy a lot and then, like, it'd be an ideal if I could buy a lot right next door to here, but there's not one. There's like a fire station, and then it's just not. And then buy a lot, and then just build me an in-ground bunker kind of thing to pull into, and just be underground. And it's cool underground. It's 55 degrees underground, but have an opening where there's a window that faces someplace that has a good Wi-Fi signal I can pick up, and then somehow get power. And no big deal. Fast enough, Mr. Lee. Achaeos needs a real computer to go with his real job. Now he just needs a haircut. A haircut? Are you crazy? This is nature put this here for a reason. Yeah, sensory. It's sensory in nature. It's a possible antenna to interacting with the spiritual realm as well. So I would never want to cut my hair or my beard. I'll cut my beard when I decide to transition. I said what I said. He's a Buckwash crew. There's the link. Everybody wants to see Jen on the Buckwash crew. Dig a big secret hole in the ground. We won't tell no one. There's just not a place to do it. Everything's in concrete, roads, buildings right here. It's just no place to do it, unfortunately. It ain't like a place I kind of had somewhat access. There was a slight possibility I could pull up, and I tried to create a little place in the tree line that was close enough to pick up the Wi-Fi, strong enough to do live streams. This was a few years ago though, but it's a city property, and the cops showed up and said, "No, you can't be parking over here." I was like, "What's the difference? I'm parking 10 foot away from where I was parking before," because there was like the place I was picking up the Wi-Fi from, and they were happy. They were perfectly happy to have me there. They considered me security for them. We kept them safe. Crackheads and stuff. Anyway, so there was a curb. And then a little bit like a strip of grass, maybe 4 or 5 feet of grass that was their property. And then it was city property there, which was just overgrown with trees and stuff. And I'd gone in there and cleared some area and stuff and thorns and there. Anyway, so I was parking, off that curb. So, rules. I'm like, can I pull my race card out for this to say, look, here's my Indian tribal membership card. How about you guys just get on, get out of here? I didn't think that was going to work though. It was George Thorogood reference, homie, says Icon. The needs the haircut thing, yeah. All right, I gotta roll. Thank y'all for hanging out. And I'll see you sometime. Take it easy.